Why does it feel like the recommended age that you have to be to play a Pokemon game has just gotten lower and lower and lower over the years? I mean, like, people always make jokes about how, like, oh, this generation of kids is stupider than my generation of kids. My generation was way smarter than this generation. And I never find, like, hyperbolic statements like that to be true, but it feels like fucking Game Freak seems to think it's true. Because the Pokemon games made today feel like the most dumbed down shit compared to the old games. And it's really stark when you go back and forth. Because I'm playing Pokemon Moon, and the tutorials just never fucking end. Like, I'm, like, on the second I'm at the fire trial, and I haven't been playing it that much. I'm kind of just now forcing myself to play it again after taking, like, a week off because I just couldn't it wasn't getting me. It wasn't getting the hooks in, you know? I'm playing it and I'm just not getting any enjoyment out of it. It feels like such an obligation, and it still feels that way. But I guess I am obligated to keep playing it. It still doesn't have the thing that's like, yeah, I want to keep playing this. And X and Y had that. I played Pokemon X for about, like, 80 to 90 hours. And I went back and played that some more after I, like, kind of quit Moon in frustration. And I'm at, like, the post-game when it comes to fucking X. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, it was like waking up from a fucking coma and being like, holy shit. Like, this is what a Pokemon game is. And then I started playing fucking Red on the Virtual Console, which I have on my 3DS I have the Virtual Console version of Pokemon Red on my 3DS, and I was playing that, and I was like, it's right away, this is a good video game, and I'm having fun playing this. And I played Pokemon Crystal on an emulator on my phone, and it's like, well, Gen 2's still the fucking best one, holy shit. Like, right away, I'm playing these games, and so it's just Moon. Why is this new game the most hand-holdy, railroaded bullshit? And here's the thing that fucking, like, it was like a fucking revelation I just had a few minutes ago, where it's like, Pokemon has an objective marker on the map. You know that thing people always joke about with modern games, where they're like, oh, you know, fucking mini-map, like, herpes, just like, blip, 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 look at all these objective markers all over the fucking place. You play a modern AAA game, there's that great screenshot of, like, if Bloodborne was made by any other AAA developer, and it's just this mass of fucking objective markers and little on-screen reminders telling you what to do and where to go, and now that's what Pokemon has. Pokemon has a fucking map objective marker that's saying, go here to continue the story. It's not a big, wide open adventure. It's an amusement park ride. Go here to see the cutscene. Okay, now you have to go through this area. Oh, and there's some grass here. You can run around if you want, but you gotta go to this next area. Like, there's no freedom. There's no adventure anymore. In the fucking town on the second island, I can't even explore the whole town because there's this fucking asshole on a giant fucking thing, and he's like, you can't go. It might as well just be an invisible wall, and a fucking message from the developers comes and says, no, you can't come through here yet, you have to go do this story shit first, for all the fucking difference it makes. Stop exploring. Stop trying to have this adventure. Stop trying to, like, guide you by the nose. You gotta go where we tell you to go. And it's the most ludicrous, like, it's Pokemon was never not a linear game. Pokemon was always very linear, and that's very abundant when you look at the map of any given Pokemon game, especially the first two, where if you look at the Kanto map, it's just kind of a straight line. You start out in Pallet Town, and then you go up through Pewter City, then you go through Mount Moon, then you're in Celadon, and you can't go down into Saffron City until you get Lemonade from Celadon City, so you have to go through, like, this tunnel to get to fucking, Vermilion. Viridian. No. Viridian's Vermilion City to fucking get an HM. Like, it's very, it only really kind of opens up when you get to Lavender Town, but then even that is just an illusion, because you can't get to the top of the tower until you get the Sylph Scope, and you can't get the Sylph Scope until you go to Celadon, and then after you finish Celadon, like, this story event triggers, and then you can finally go down to, I forget, the Poison Town, the town with Koga, and the fucking, Safari Zone. Like, you can kind of go down there whenever you want, but there's not really any, once you get to Celadon, you can kind of, boom, hit right over. But no, because Snorlax is in the way. There's this roadblock of Snorlax blocking your path, and you can't wake him up until you get the Pokeflute. So it looks like you can have this variability of where you can go, but really it's a straight line, because it keeps putting up roadblocks. It keeps dictating where you have to go, and then you go down and go through to Cinnabar Island, which is the 7th gym. You beat that, and then boom, you're back in Pallet Town. You've literally gone a full circle back in Pallet Town. Now you gotta go up to Viridian. That's the final gym. Then boom, go into the Pokemon Lake. It's a straight fucking line, completely railroaded with no freedom whatsoever. Gold, Silver, and Crystal had a little bit where after you beat the Ghost Gym in that, you can kind of choose wherever you want to go. You can either go over here and do some stuff, or you can go over here. Either way, you're going to have to do both, but you kind of have the freedom to choose which one you want to do first. But even in that, after you beat the 8th gym, you hop down a thing, and then boom, you're right back on Route 1, essentially, again, and you can go right back to New Barktown, and then you go off into the Pokemon League. So it's always been linear. It's always been this railroad, but it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like you had no freedom. It felt organic. The railroad felt organic. It was invisible, and that's what you want. You want it to feel like you have the choice. You didn't, but you want it to feel that way. It doesn't feel that way in Moon. You have no choice. You have no freedom. You're fucking following an objective marker on the screen. Where do you think you're going? You can't go that way. You gotta go to the objective marker. Why do you, no, there's Sudowoodo in the way. You gotta go do the objective marker. And the Sudowoodo one was so fucking retarded, because it's like, the Sudowoodo are in the way. I picked the water-type starter. I should just be able to fuck them up. They're not even pretending to be trees like they did in Gold, Silver, and Crystal. In that, no one knew it was a Sudowoodo. They were just like, what's that fucking weird tree? Looks thirsty. Here, pour some water on it from this watering can. Oh shit, it's a Pokemon. You know, it was actually kind of like, it was the same thing as what Snorlax was. You needed this arbitrary item in order to get past a roadblock of a Pokemon in your way, but it felt like, it wasn't fucking ridiculous, where it's just like, oh, there's Sudowoodo in the way, and there's Sudowoodo. Don't get in a fight with them. You're not allowed to fight these Sudowoodo. You're not allowed to do anything. Go finish the water trial over here, and then you'll have the gem from the water trial, and then the Sudowoodo will be like, oh shit, he's got the water gem, and run away.
You didn't do anything. The game, the obstacle that the game put in your way literally just looked and said, oh, you did the thing that you needed to go do before you could go this way, so we'll leave and let you get through here now. It's so transparent. It's so transparently just a complete railroad. And, like, it's the worst when it's, like, areas that are off the beaten path that seem like they should be optional. Like, the Battle Royale area feels like it should be optional. It feels like you can go in there and investigate what's going on at the Battle Royale, or you can just continue if you want. But if you try to continue, if you try to go to fucking Route 7 without doing the story shit at the Battle Royale, you'll get stopped and turned around. You can't go here yet. You gotta go do that story thing in this completely optional area that's totally shitty, by the way. The Battle Royale fucking sucks. And it's why I was thinking about this. I was thinking about, like, Pokemon didn't used to have this. Pokemon didn't used to have this excessive hand holding. Pokemon used to kind of be hardcore, especially if you go back to Gen 1, where if you imagine a 10-year-old, imagine a 6, 7, 8-year-old trying to play Pokemon Red. Not Pokemon Fire Red, just Red. Now, imagine that today. Like, no nostalgia, not a grown-up. Imagine they didn't have the internet. Just a child playing Pokemon Red. It seems like it couldn't be possible, right? With our arrogance that we have nowadays, and yet people did it. I did it. I was playing Pokemon before I even knew how to read, and I did it just fine. I never beat it. But I played the fucking game. And those games didn't, like, go back and play them now. They don't have tutorials. They just kinda expect you to figure it the fuck out. Now it's like the most, like, oh, can I play the game now? No, come on. It feels like the Call of Duty of fucking Pokemon. It feels like you're just being walked along this fucking exhibit that you don't really have any degree of interaction within. And it's worse now because the world feels a lot less... what's the best word for this? It feels less organic. It feels more shallow now. And it's hard to describe why. It feels like... You know how... It has a lot of spectacle to it now, but no substance. You know how back in the day, Grand Theft Auto 3 was like this huge revelation, but when you go back and play it now, it feels so basic and empty. Like, oh, look at all these cool buildings, but you can't go into any of them. It feels so... It certainly hasn't aged. But that's what Moon is like now. And I understand why that is. It's because it's overproduced. This happens with everything. Whenever you have something that's got a lot of money invested in... I'm answering the question of why it's so heavily tutorialized also. Whenever you have something that's had a lot of resources invested into it, in terms of visuals, you lose content. This is a regular thing that you can, like, visibly chart with games over the years. The more, like, visual fidelity, not quite fidelity, but, like pomp and circumstance, I guess you could say. Like the more polygons, the more, like, when you have your HDs and your 4Ks shoved in there, you lose content. It's smaller, there's less to do because it looks prettier. They couldn't fit as much into the game because they wasted so much making it look good. And so you lose a lot of substance. And that's what it feels like happened with Pokemon. You have this big, wide, massive 3D world, finally. It's real, actual 3D now, but it feels so much more limited now. It doesn't feel as... it's this ephemeral quality that I have trouble finding the proper words for to properly describe it. But wandering around in the shitty cities in Pokemon Moon, it doesn't feel like a city. It doesn't feel like a place where people actually live. It just feels like kind of a place that has a Pokemon Center and maybe a few fucking clothing stores or something. There's way too many fucking Pokemon Centers in this game, by the way. It feels like that's a big part. That's another reason it's so fucking over tutorialized, is every fucking like 5 steps in between each route. Oh, here's Route 7, Route 8 Pokemon Center. Here's Route 5, Route 6 Pokemon Center. In front of every trial Pokemon Center. In every new town Pokemon. You can't go fucking 3 fucking feet in this game without hitting another Pokemon Center, and every time you hit a story cutscene, which you will constantly, they will heal your Pokemon for you. Whenever you get into a fight with your shitty rival, he heals your Pokemon for you. It's so fucking ridiculous. And it's because it's a full 3D game now. They've invested all this money and resources into, like, they've taken away the sprites and they've made these, like, really lavish visuals for a 3DS game, for a Pokemon game. And because of that, like, this is probably the most expensive Pokemon game ever made. It's probably, like, they've probably spent more money on the visuals alone of this Pokemon game than any other Pokemon game that came previously. And because of that, I'm assuming they were like, okay, we gotta fucking make our money back. That's always what it is. The more you spend, the less risks you take, the safer you are, the more generic you get, the lower you hit to try and appeal to the lowest common denominator. Oh, we gotta make sure this sells to as many fucking people as humanly possible. We don't want anyone getting lost. Throw in a map on the lower screen, make it have a little objective marker on there, and hey, just to make 100% sure, make the fucking pokedex be able to talk so that he'll fucking tell you where to go and what to do. Just in case the fucking objective marker wasn't enough. And I'm playing this and I'm like, ugh, and I'm at the fucking title screen of fucking Pokemon Moon, and my hand's hovering over the fucking start button. And I just slowly take the cartridge out. I put Pokemon Soul Silver in instead, and I start playing that.